OLS 003. Why is Mr. Peter Obi so popular with the masses, but so unpopular among his fellow politicians? This is a continuation of my OLS lecture. Intro. Please, if you are watching this video on YouTube, you can see the lecture notes itself on the description section of the entry. Intro. In his recent anti-Obi article, which I responded to in this document, the governor of Anambra State, Professor Soludo, said, among other things, and I quote, "Any dissent is tagged a saboteur, or in my case, it could be that I want to contest for president after office, or that I am envious of Peter Obi, Soludo envious of Peter Obi, totally laughable," unquote. Although politicians like Governor Soludo will not like to hear of it, but this is true. It is more than obvious that Mr. Peter Obi's fellow politicians are mostly and bitterly envious of his popularity among the Nigerian masses. Otherwise, let any of the politicians antagonizing Obi come out and answer these two questions. One, how come Mr. Obi has always been seen as one of Nigeria's uncommon ex-governors, but has suddenly become one of the ugliest villains among many politicians, to the extent of getting maligned by one of his own successors since his run for president and the rise of the Obidient movement? And why is this Obi's antagonist successor writing only articles when he is in a position to expose Obi to the relevant authorities if indeed he has anything substantial against him? Until they answer these questions, let me go ahead with my point in this section of this lecture. I think instead of envying Obi, those politicians would serve themselves better by learning the one reason Obi is so popular among the real owners of the country. Once the politicians learn this, they too can do the same thing Obi did and become popular for life as Obi is. Hence, today's section of this lecture is dedicated to this. Please kindly help to share this so that the politicians can hear it. Before I go ahead to give my one reason with simple documentary proofs, this is how you can be certain about Mr. Obi's undeniable popularity among the masses across the country. There is hardly any other Nigerian politician enjoying such a massive and passionate followership almost a decade after staying completely out of public office as Obi is enjoying. An overwhelming majority of Nigerian politicians lose their cult following after holding public office unless they find a way to install their stooges as their successors. Another black hat option Nigerian politicians use to manage to stay relevant beyond public office is to empower unprincipled criminal elements with enormous amounts of stolen public funds. But such hackneyed relevance is always highly limited. On the contrary, Mr. Peter Obi is the one politician who has stayed away from his successors and also made it public that he is not ready to give a dime to anyone to support his run for a public office, and yet he is getting one of the most massive and passionate political followings in the history of the country. You can see how he went to a hitherto unknown political party, and millions upon millions of Nigerians followed him there. And not only this, these millions are campaigning for him with their own resources without ever meeting him or anyone close to him for the first time. If there is any other politician, any other Nigerian politician like this, I need someone to say it publicly here on the actual document. Click through and air your opinion. And this is to be fair to all viewpoints. For me, one other politician who is likely to also enjoy this kind of following if he comes out to contest for any public office is Mr. Donald Duke, an ex-governor of Cross River State. One thing I am sure of is that if there are such Nigerian politicians, there will just be a handful of them. Again, if I'm wrong here, let someone prove me wrong in the open, as I said earlier. While I wait to welcome such dissent, let me go ahead and talk about my one reason, just one reason, why Obi is so popular. The story of an Atiku follower and his followers. In this era of social media, the meaning of the word follower has changed considerably. Before now, your follower was someone who loved your way of life and therefore followed your footsteps. But today, your social media follower may be someone who follows you only to torment you. That is a troll. In recent months, the street-level popularity of Mr. Peter Obi has been proven even more graphically through a popular follower of the PDP presidential flag bearer, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. This Atiku follower goes by the name Reno Omokri. Since Mr. Reno began to antagonize Mr. Obi on his Twitter handle, more than 2/3 of his once genuine 2 million strong Twitter followers have become his trolls, and he has realized it. He keeps saying that he is making more money from his followers even when they no longer follow him out of love. But he does not realize that he might be losing something far more important than money. To help you see this fact more clearly, here is a social media post Reno made recently and the responses he got. You can click through and see for yourself if most of his followers have not turned to his trolls. That's an easy way to sample public opinions in a democracy rather than seeking to know it all alone like a dictator. However, below, I am using the post and some of the responses to it to show you clearly and in a simple fashion why Obi is so popular with the masses but so unpopular among the politicians. This is what Mr. Reno Omokri said in that tweet. He said, "Did you not see Dino and FFK embrace publicly? Did Sheyi Tinubu and Daniel Buala not take a selfie? Obedience take politics so personal and allow themselves be controlled by their emotions. Who in his right mind gives power to a people controlled by their emotions?" Up to 7/10 of his followers disagree with Reno whenever he expresses such views, but he keeps refusing to listen to them, which tells you how dictatorial they will be if elected. For instance, here is a response to the post. This one said, "Obedience, understanding needs to be calm. We are only acting that way because most of us are really frustrated with the scheme of things in the country and we deserve change. The Dinos, FFK, that are hugging themselves are doing so because they have benefited from past governments. We can't continue to be pretending that we are fine. We are not fine. We are suffering, and we need the whole world to know this. People need to feel our anger and frustration. We are crying for a better Nigeria, and Peter Obi will bring that to us." Who else got this point from this Nigerian tweet? He said, among other things, "We can't continue to be pretending that we are fine. We are not fine. We are suffering. We are crying for a better Nigeria." Here are a few other responses. This is from Malam Danjuma Garba. "How can anyone responsible not attach his motion and emotion to saving the life of millions of Nigerians? For you, it's your pocket, not patriotism or concrete conviction. This one, Ashutan, said, we are not interested in people playing games with an entire 260 million Nigerians. They can afford to shake hands and feed, snap selfies and portraits. We are after the destiny of our nation, and we ain't joking about that. You can call it whatever you want. This one is Humphrey Obajere. Exactly, Reno. That's the kind of politics you want to continue. The politics of paddy, the politics where you can easily join the APC tomorrow if they win and partake in the business of looting, is not the kind of politics Nigeria needs. Nigeria has been sucked dry by you guys. This one, Crystal, says, reason is simple. To APC and PDP, including you, Reno Mokri, is business as usual. But to Obedience, it's a last fight for survival, for a better life and country, hence the emotional attachment. Let it sink in. For this person, Chizoba Cyril, those people feel they don't have anything to lose because their mission is to keep Nigeria below poverty line, but we Obedience feel we have a lot to lose if we allow your type to keep ruling. So we take it personal and we will apply more pressure. You can see the names of the people saying this. Reno Mokri is one of the greatest manipulators I've seen, and a liar. I will dedicate a special lecture on this to him because he's very dangerous to Nigerians if not taken seriously. He wants to make people believe that only Igbos are the ones supporting Peter Obi. But we know that a Yoruba sociocultural group endorsed Peter Obi. We know the kind of support Peter Obi is getting in Kaduna and in Benin, Edo State, and other places. But he wants people to believe that it's only Igbos who are pushing the Peter Obi campaigns. This person is Malam Danjuba Garba, this person is Ashiotam, this person is Humphrey Obajere, and the rest of them. And they're saying all these things. So if he says there is only Igbos who are his followers, then let him explain why all his followers, almost all his followers, are disagreeing with him. However, one point you can get from all these responses is that Nigerians are feeling deep pains, while politicians like Reno are unable to feel these pains with Nigerians. The reason, no doubt, is that these politicians are mostly shielded from the sufferings ordinary Nigerians go through on a daily basis. That's because they are relatively privileged economically and otherwise. On the contrary, Mr. Peter Obi is one privileged politician who has shown it both in his words and actions again and again that he feels the pains of ordinary Nigerians exactly as they feel it. Talk about empathetic leader. We have just one that we know in Mr. Peter Obi. For instance, when he was forced out of office as a governor of Anambra State, it was because Obi vehemently and uncompromisingly refused to inflate the state budget, even as the Buhari Aso Rock also confirmed. See a report from Premium Times. This is a 1917 report. He said, a former governor of Anambra State, you can click through to read it. A former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, has said one of the reasons he was impeached during his administration was his refusal to inflate the government's yearly budget. Imagine the amount he would have made, and he refused. Mr. Obi spoke Tuesday at the Nigeria Symposium for Young and Emerging Leaders, which took place in Lagos, with the theme Open Governance, Improving Transparency and Accountability in Government. And I quote, government budgets should be published each item they want to spend money on should be published so people, always emphasize the people, so people can compare the prices government are buying the items with what is in the market. Of quote, said Mr. Obi, who was governor between 2006 and 2014. I have been a victim, and I quote, I have been a victim of that because budgets are not properly articulated. It's inflated, not even padded. I was impeached in Anambra State, removed from office twice. The first one is because of this budget issue. And I have to explain that it's not just the first one. The two of them was because of the budget issue. It was only in the first case that they gave it as a reason. But in the second case, they knew it was not his due for him to be removed. They removed him because they want to steal. They are so desperate to steal. But this one person refused. And I quote, they want to repair office of the governor, which is my office. The approved budget for 2006 was 298 million naira. I repaired everything with 43.2 million naira. They said I didn't do it through due process because they have awarded the contract. The second item was repair of the governor's lodge, which is where I live. Everything was 406 million. I did everything with 81 million naira. They said it didn't go through due process. That is to show you how government works in Nigeria. I know that his antagonist would have said he lied, if not that this happened before all of us. And they would even have said that he lied, if not that the presidency of Muhammad Buhari happened to say something on this. They said Obi was impeached for refusing to inflate Anambra budget. 11 years after his impeachment, the presidency has confirmed that the former governor of Anambra State, Mr. Peter Obi, did not commit any crime deserving removal from office, but that his offense was his refusal to inflate the budget of the state. When asked on a TV program why he had to risk his governorship seat rather than cooperate with the majority members of the House of Assembly to inflate the budget, Obi simply said, and I quote, "But the money is meant for the people, not for the pockets of a few politicians." Think of that. He's always thinking about the people. I hope Nigerians wouldn't allow these wicked, evil politicians to deceive them this time around. You have seen the kind of person you need as a leader. Hold on to him. Such words, acts, and actions coming from a Nigerian politician in such a real and difficult situation he found himself resonated and continues to resonate with millions of Nigerians. Most Nigerian masses therefore see in Obi one politician who really cares about them, unlike an overwhelming majority of his colleagues. I already made this point in my response to Soludo's anti-Obi article. Soludo seemed to be mocking Obi for showing political desperation, but I pointed out to him how Obi's desperation is only identifying with the desperation of more than 85% of Nigerians, home and abroad. You can't have a burning house and you're seen laughing, playing games, and embracing people for fun. For politicians like Reno, Femi Fani-Kayode, and Soludo, they are so comfortable that they can play theoretical games with the politics of the country. But for Peter Obi and millions of Nigerians who are not shielded from hardship by any privilege, and I must say undue privilege mostly, Nigerian politics is far more serious than a game. My advice to the G5 governors and other politicians who want to enjoy evergreen relevance after leaving office. If you are a politician seeking to enjoy evergreen relevance after leaving office, I advise you to have these two friends above all else. 1, your conscience. 2, your people. So if you find yourself in a difficult political situation, go ahead and take sides, first with your conscience and then with the masses. If you do this, you will never ever have cause to regret your decision. Let your allegiance at heart be with the people and not with any other, not even your political party. As Mrs. Aisha Yusuf will say, party allegiance is worse than an abusive marriage, where you can do anything just because your party says you should do it. And you have to do this. You have to take sides with the people, no matter how difficult it may appear. Now, when Mr. Peter Obi decided to take sides with the masses instead of colluding with most of the House of Assembly members to rob the people, it was no doubt a difficult thing to do, but that difficulty is the hard rock on which his evergreen relevance is etched. Know ye that you are not wiser than the average member of the Nigerian public just because you are holding public office right now. Rather, you should know that your public office is only a privilege you are enjoying temporarily, and that the masses, not the office, are the true source of your relevance. So if you treat the masses shabbily just because you are occupying public office right now, know that they are going to get back at you later on by denying you honor. I am not saying that you should be a hypocrite to please your people. Rather, you should be out genuinely, that's why conscience is involved, genuinely for their welfare as the public servant that you are supposed to be. For instance, if embezzling public funds is what will set you against the masses and your conscience, you need to avoid it. I hope you know that embezzling public funds has never really made anyone richer or happier. But if you serve the people genuinely, you are more likely to make lasting wealth and be truly fulfilled ever after. Still drawing our example from Mr. Peter Obi, imagine that he decides to write just a single book right now. Think of the millions of copies of the book that would sell. Imagine the lifetime royalty he's going to earn from it, and with absolute peace of mind, just because of his popularity with the people who truly matter, the well-meaning citizens. So Nigerian politicians, always remind yourselves that your people are your masters, not your slaves or even your subordinates. You may take undue advantage of your masters just because of the many loopholes created in the Nigerian society by ills like poverty and illiteracy, but be sure that your masters will eventually get back at you with enough punishment. But if you serve them well, if you serve your masters well, they will respond with enough reward, just as they are rewarding Mr. Peter Obi now. What Obi is enjoying among the Nigerian masses is what many of his fellow politicians would be ready to pay any amount to get, but they are not getting it. Not today, not ever, unless they learn this lesson. Is it any wonder those politicians are so angry with Obi? But that is not the way to go, as you have seen so far in this section. On this note, I am passionately calling on the G5 governors and indeed all the Nigerian politicians and people to support the well-meaning Nigerian masses by supporting a Peter Obi presidency in 2023 or from 2023. It is a given that the lives, health, security, destiny, and general well-being of Nigerians are far more important than playing politics. Thus, if you want your people to value you for life, let them see you now valuing what they value: their lives, their security, their welfare, their future. So let them see you support only candidates who can deliver quality leadership to them, rather than candidates who are likely to win the election by any means whatsoever. Again, I say, care more about the people then you care about political calculations, and the people will remain your structure forever, even after you are long gone from office or even life. So I hope you don't waste this opportunity of a lifetime. Conclusion. In the next session, I will be talking about strong scripture-based reasons why all genuine Nigerian Christians and Muslims should support the Obidient presidential ticket. My points will be drawn mainly from the Holy Bible and the Holy Quran. As always, you can follow these lecture series either on Twitter or YouTube. Please, if you care about the welfare of this country and the destiny of our children, kindly help to share valuable information such as this. There is a media war going on between the corrupt establishment and the well-meaning Nigerians. So as the establishment uses the wealth they stole from us to push their media, let's use what we have to push ours. Thank you.